So number 7 was is. 8 is correct. 9 doesn't. And 10 is correct. All right. Any questions on any of those 4? All right. Look at the bottom there. It says, check your memory. This is a quiz for you. Easy, easy, easy quiz. Okay. Now, look at the next page, 178. So we'll check that on tomorrow. 178 is one of the easier type of lessons as well.
Oh, yeah. I remember these.
You have demonstrative and interrogative pronouns. Now, demonstrative, what is that? What word does that sound like, Andre?
Demonstrate.
Yeah, demonstrate. So you're demonstrating, so you're showing something you can see. How about interrogative? We know what interrogative means. Brianna, what does that mean? What kind of pronouns do you think those are?
Pronouns who, the who's, which, and what.
Okay. So yeah, it would be those that are asking questions that start with W. Now, here's the thing that makes this easy. Every single one that starts with a T is demonstrative. Every single one that starts with a W is interrogative. So when you go down that list, all you have to do is look at what it starts with. Okay. Now, it is good to know which ones are which, of course. So when you take a quiz or a test, you'll be set. But that is basically the easiest lesson that you'll ever have is doing that one. All right. Any questions on that? All right. Those 2 pages are your assignment. And so let's go ahead and get to reading then.
And Mr. Jones?
Yes.
I have one question.
Okay.
No, not for language, but will we have the testing toward the end of the year?
That I don't know what Pastor Fricks would do. I don't think so, because we just won't have it. I don't know how else to put it except that we can't, because you can't be here to do it. So I'm not sure exactly. I think the public schools are in the same position, and so I'm not quite sure exactly what they're supposed to do with that.
Okay.
But when we find out some information, we'll let you know. We have them all. We have all the tests and everything, but we just don't have the ability to test you guys. All right?
Well, as for reading, are we going to do some in the reading book or just the work text?
No, today we're doing it together. That's why I said get your reading out.
Yeah.
It's the work text pages 262, 263. Technically, you guys don't need this information because you guys are pretty good at it, so it shouldn't be too hard to do this. But we're going to work on it a little bit together. All right, so organization. Some of you have it, some of you don't, right? How many of you are naturally an organized person? You naturally like to put things in order. You like to have them a certain way before you do anything, or anything like that. Any of you?
Yeah,
you are, Katie? Okay.
I like to.
Yeah, and I'm not like that naturally. At least I didn't used to be. When I went in the Air Force, they sort of, they had this saying, or Mr. Hansen, who was our school administrator back in Virginia, when I was teaching back there, he would talk about for the students. He would say that he would have the saying. He said, "Imposed discipline leads to self-discipline." And organization, though, if you're disciplined, doesn't mean that you're organized. So if you're self-disciplined, if you say, I have something I've got to do, I'm going to do it no matter what, or if you're a responsible person, if you're trustworthy for your parents, if they ask you to do something, they know you're going to do it. That's being self-disciplined. That's controlling yourself when the time comes. But that's different from being disciplined in the fact that being organized, because being organized it's following some kind of a natural order, not even natural necessarily, just an order that makes sense to you, where you're putting things and organizing things in a way that you know is best. Now, I have a way of organizing things myself, and certainly whenever I organize something, it makes it a lot easier for whatever I'm doing. In fact, when I'm grading papers, the first thing I'll do is I'll separate them by subject, or I'll separate them and then try to put them into page order just to make it easier that way, because that's the way to do it. Now, some people will just take the papers as they come and grade them as they come, back and forth, different books, and that's just the way they do it. To me, I can't do it that way. It's not organized. It gets me too confused to do that. And so organization then is what we're talking about here, all right? And so you don't have this on your paper, but this chart right here kind of gives you an idea about organization, and what we're going to use it for is to organize the U.S. government. So if I was going to use my board, which I'm going to make that same chart here. Although it's going to be a little difficult because there's not quite as much room on my chart, but I'll try to. We'll do a little history today as we're doing reading and organization. I know you guys are excited about that. Hey, only Emma has bought stock so far. Is anybody else? I mean, Eric too. And has anybody else planning on being involved in that or no?
Do we have to though?
No, you don't have to. It's just.
I won't.
Yeah, you don't. It's not required. It's just for your fun and also the opportunity to earn passes. So.
And so did Sophia. Sophia.
I said from this class though.
Oh.
No, I've had several from the 5th grade. I just haven't had very many from the 6th grade. All right. So here's sort of that same chart. So if we're going to put in here, we're going to do our government, okay? Our very, very organized government, right? All right. I need a thinner. All right, we have government. What are the 3 branches of government? Does anybody know?
Executive.
Okay, executive.
Judicial.
Okay, judicial branch.
Legislative branch.
And legislative. Very good. Okay. So they'd fit like this into our little chart. So under the judicial, what is the name of the one under the judicial branch? The first, you could actually go further if you wanted to, but just what's the main judicial legislative branch? I mean, the legislative thing underneath the legislative branch, what's the first highest court, in other words?
Supreme Court.
Yeah. So the Supreme Court would be the highest, all right? So we'd organize it that way. What about the legislative? What are the 2 underneath legislative, do you think? Legislative is the one that makes the laws.
Ooh. Jay Inslee.
What's that?
No, I just thought of Jay Inslee for a reason. I don't know why.
That's state government, so that's different. We're talking about U.S. government, federal government. What do you think, Katie?
The president?
No, he would be under executive. Okay. Okay. So for the ones that make the laws, there are 2 parts to it. Sometimes they're known as the houses of government.
Representatives?
Yeah, House of Representatives, and what's the other one?
And House of Burgesses?
No, that's in England. But we're not in England.
Senator?
Senate is the other one. That's correct. Okay. Good guess. All right, Senate and House. So HR, House of Representatives, and Senate, that mess there on the other side. So that's one Katie's already said for executive is the president. Who do you think falls under the president? Now, we just talked about this in history this year, so it's not something you shouldn't know.
Bernie Sanders. I'm kidding.
No, there's no individual names. It's just an office. So, who is under the president?
Oh, the cabinet.
immediately.
President,
Cabinet and the vice president. Very good. So the cabinet is one, and VP is the other. All right. So we take those people and we organize them in a chart. Now, what does this show as far as authority?
It shows who has more authority, like the president.
Say that again, Andre. I couldn't hear you.
It like shows how much authority they have. Like the president has more authority than the legislator and judicial.
Well, actually, that's not what it shows, because all three of these, you see, they're all equal. They're all on the same level. And so the executive and the judicial and the legislative branch are supposed to have what's called checks and balances against each other. So some have certain powers in certain places, others have certain powers in other places, and they all are supposed to balance each other out so that one particular part of the government doesn't control the other parts of the government. What part do we most often see and hear about?
Um,
What do you think, Juliana? Which one do you mostly hear about as far as which branch do you think? Do you have your microphone on? Still no. Okay. All right. Executive. Yeah, that's the one we hear about most often because that's where the president is. And so we see him on television, especially now. Eric, which one do we hear the least about, do you think?
judicial.
Yeah, probably the judicial, because generally the Supreme Court only meets one time or two times a year to decide cases. And so we only hear about them that often. All right, so look at page 262. And we're going to talk about Alexander Selkirk. All right. So we're going to talk about some things. Now, in the middle there, you have on your chart, you have Alexander Selkirk, who is the middle. This is what the main topic is about. Okay. So this is an organizing tool here. And so in this particular tool, what needs did he have that were met, that he had on the island, that he was able to get on the island? What needs did he have? What general needs did Alexander Selkirk have?
Food.
Okay, food was one. So put that in the top left bubble. Put food. Okay, what else?
Water.
What was that?
Water.
Well, that would go with food, really.
Clothing.
Okay, clothing would be another one. So put that below that on the bottom left, clothing. Doesn't really matter where you put them, but I'm just matching them up to what's in the book. What else did he? What's that?
Shelter.
Okay. Yeah, we could do shelter. Okay, so put shelter in one of them. All right. Then what else? Andre, you have any thoughts?
For Alexander Selkirk.
Selkirk, yeah.
Wait.
So we have food, clothing, shelter.
Food, shelter, clothing, and
Anybody else have one?
water.
We already said water. Water would go with food, really.
Weapons?
Weapons. How about tools? We'll just do tools instead. Weapon you could consider would be a tool as well because of using it to shoot or protect yourself. So he wasn't at war with anybody, so it's not like he needed a whole bunch of different types of weapons necessarily. All right, so under food, what type of food did he eat in that story? Assuming you actually read the story.
Fruit.
What was that?
Fruit.
I can't hear. Fruit, you said?
Mhm.
Was there fruit, or was that one of the things? Or I know there were vegetables for sure, but was there fruit as well? You guys remember? I always get these stories mixed up because they're so similar. You know, back in the 1600s when Robert Louis Stevenson wrote what's it called? I can't remember the name. It's a similar story to this one. There were like 4 or 5 stories written.
Robinson?
Yeah, thank you, Robinson Crusoe. And Robinson Crusoe, and so some of their stories are so similar to each other, I keep getting mixed up in as far as details. But we'll say, okay, fruit or vegetables. We'll just put either one, fruit or vegetables. What else did he eat? Some of the animals. What were some of the? What was that?
Coconuts.
Did you say pelican eggs?
Coconuts. I don't know.
Pelican nose.
He said coconut.
I said coconuts.
Coconuts. Okay, well that would fall under fruits or vegetables.
Oh,
What kind of animals?
like cow? No.
You guys did read it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pig.
Small animals.
There was one particular one where he was able to catch the animal running after him, that the people who finally rescued him were amazed that he could run that fast.
A goat.
Yeah, goats. Remember goats? Okay, so it's a goat. And then what else? There was another one. Usually it's both a sea and land animal, but mostly in the sea.
A crab.
No, not crab. It was bigger than a crab, although crabs are good, especially with butter.
Lobster.
A lobster.
Not lobster. Don't think crustacean. Think something a little bit different. Think reptile or amphibian.
A lizard.
Did you say turtle, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah, turtle. He had turtle as well. All right. What about clothes? What kind of clothing did he use?
Goat hair. Goat
Okay,
hair.
so goat skins. Yeah, goat skins. And then he also, when he first was shipwrecked, he found some. Remember, where did he find them? Do you remember?
Ah,
The ship.
You remember, Katie?
Not really.
How about clothes he made on his own? Where did he get the clothes he made on his own?
Oh, from home.
From what?
From home.
Aside from the goat skins, I mean.
From home.
I can't hear you, Emma.
Home.
From home?
Yeah.
I don't understand what you mean from home.
Like.
Okay. Where he found some in a container of some kind. What was the container? Do you guys remember?
Treasure.
Chest.
Yeah, a chest, a trunk, right. And then he also made some clothes from some other thing that he found. Kind of thing that you sleep under
A
your
pillow.
bed.
A
Not
pillow.
pillow.
A bed.
Well, thing that's on the bed.
A blanket.
Not a blanket. Sheets. Yeah, sheets is the right one.
fish.
All right. So what about tools? What kind of tools?
An axe.
An axe. Yeah, he had an axe. What else?
A knife.
A knife.
Knife. Okay. And then what was the other thing he had?
Riffle.
A what?
A riffle.
A riffle. You mean a rifle?
A
A
rifle.
gun? There actually is a word riffle, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. Riffle. It means to like go through something, like you're using your fingers to comb through some papers and things like that. So it's called riffling. So, but it's a rifle. Yeah, gun. Gun. You can just put gun. All right. And what was the other one? Shelter, right?
Yeah.
So what did he use to shelter right at the beginning?
A cave.
Right at the beginning?
Oh no.
You can put cave in there. He did use a cave eventually. But I think immediately, what did he use?
Like a covering from a tree or something.
Yeah, he used like a tree to help him. And then he also built a little bit later on, wasn't it like a lean-to, they called it, where he just kind of had leaves and branches of things and bamboo or whatever it was he used to stand it up to kind of protect him from the rain and everything until he built something, well, until he found the cave, really. All right, so then underneath on those four at the bottom, you can see, look here on the picture. So these, you're going to fill in that information from your brainstorm on these things appropriately, just like we did on that other page that we had, okay? Now, for 363, read the paragraph at the top of the work text page and then arrange the information in the graphic organizer below it, just like we did together for this one, all right? Any questions on that? Okay, so what's that, Andre?
You know what's funny? That our work text book has 363 pages, and you assigned us to go to page 363 on our normal reading.
Yeah, but we're not doing some of those. We're not doing the author things. So something that I mentioned to the fifth graders again this morning is that you are required to watch all videos. It doesn't take that long to do it. Now, if you are not being disciplined about it and missing them, you can always make them up later, but it is to your advantage. How many of you have been watching all the videos? Who has?
Me.
Who's
Me,
me? Is
I
that
have.
Emma? Emma has.
Yes.
Brianna, you have? Who else? So I have
Me.
Emma and Brianna. Andre, you've been watching them all? Katie, is that a no?
Yes, I have been.
You have been? Okay. And then Eric, what about you?
Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Okay. And how about you, Juliana?
Most of them.
Okay. So let me explain something to you. For those of you that have been watching them all, you know it's to your advantage, don't you? Because
Yeah.
you know some of the things that I said in there that have been very helpful for you, like for quizzes and tests, where I give you, well, especially quizzes, where I give you questions, answers to the questions, and sometimes even answers on worksheets. Okay,
Yeah,
so you need to be sure you're watching them. It will be very helpful for you. Okay, so if you're not one that watches them all, make sure you do that. Plus, there's many times information that you need that I'm giving you or reminding you of. Don't forget tomorrow, I was planning to do a hat day. So if you have some kind of a funny hat or special hat, wear that tomorrow so that we can have it for, well, just for fun. You don't have to wear one. I mean, if you don't wear one, it's okay. But if you want to wear one, you can go ahead and wear one.
Mr.
And,
Jones.
one of the things that I'm going to try to do is trying to get people to send pictures in for a yearbook. Now, how many of you would be interested in a yearbook if we were able to produce one?
Yeah.
Okay, so most of you would be, okay.
Yeah.
Then also, how many of you would be interested on the Monday that you guys get exchange things, you know, where your parents come here, of purchasing cookies on your account through the, you know, through the account like you guys did before, so, you know, the chocolate chip cookies? Because I would be willing to make some if people are interested in buying them. We still have a whole bunch of dough left over and wanted to try to get it used up since we're not having school again this year.
Mr. Jones,
Emma?
can like my sister Rachel, because she won a lot of money from the Spirit Week, can she buy some too?
Yeah, anybody who has those cards, and I also have a whole bunch of people that hadn't gotten theirs yet because we never came back. But so I can, yeah, that can be used for that. That's not a problem.
Okay. Mr. Jones.
Now, I haven't gotten it cleared with Pastor Fricks yet, so don't quote me on anything yet. I'm trying to gauge the interest here of people to do that. Hey, yes, Brianna. Oh, it wasn't Brianna? Katie? Okay, go ahead.
That was Juliana.
Oh, Juliana, sorry. Go ahead, Juliana.
When we were on language, I wanted to tell you the grade that I got on page 170, thing C, I'm pretty sure.
Is that the one from yesterday?
No. The
How long
one
ago?
I don't remember when, but it's the day when my power went off.
Well, that did happen yesterday too, I think. Or no, you went to get the power cord yesterday.
Yeah.
It was probably the day before, since today's Thursday. Well, you'll have to check. I'm trying to remember. Did you write it down in your book like you're supposed to, the assignments? It would be the day after it's written in your book that we actually checked it. I think that was
It
Tuesday.
was the day before yesterday.
That's when I signed it?
No, that's the day that you graded it.
Right. So go back and look at the video for Tuesday and get the grade and then send it to me.
Can we hear you?
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
And then all of you in 6th grade, your spelling that you have, the puzzle that you're supposed to do, I think, I'm trying to remember if I posted it on, no, I haven't, I don't think I've posted it on there yet. I will post a picture right now for the spelling answers. I think I gave them to Emma, right, Emma?
Yeah, you gave me it.
It
I
must
just
have been.
don't have a time to check it.
That's fine. No, that's fine. I just wanted to let you know that that's where it'll be for all of you, so that when you were done with that spelling, then go ahead and check it and just send me your grade for that puzzle on the spelling for this week. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right. That's it. Have a good day. See you guys tomorrow.
Okay,
Bye.
All right. All right. Bye.